Good morning, people of the earth.
We interrupt our program at the request of the White House.
This is a test.
Some very strange events have been taking place recently.
The emergency broadcast system,
This is only a test.
furnishing news, official information, and instruction as soon as possible.
Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point. The world is like a ride at an amusement park.
This is only a test.
This is just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love.
A small group of warriors have taken up the fight on your behalf.
It's been activated to keep you informed.
The earth is where we make our stand.
You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful.
People of the earth.
People of Earth.
If you are not
People.
tuned to a station furnishing information for your area.
Dun, 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 people of Earth. Dun, dun, people of Earth. Not a Toto fan?
No. Oh, is it Africa?
You don't miss the plains in Africa? Or the rains in Africa? What is it? I miss the rains or the plains in Africa?
I miss...
You don't miss any of it. You're not a
I
Toto
miss the
fan.
rain.
Okay. Well, I missed the
No.
reference there. I was going for the musical start with the... Dun, 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 people
I don't know if that was...
of Earth.
Oh. Dun, 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 people of Earth.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Same but different, some might say.
The people of Earth don't plant their way.
We are the people of Earth.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm recording a podcast here for you.
Musical start?
I miss the people of Earth. We're back for episode 4. Will you suck on my dick, please? All right, well, let's break the tension. We're back, I guess. What I mean, are we gonna? We'll start it here. Okay, we're back. We had another break, another little bit of resistance to get back into the studio. Let's say some shit went down, or
There's
some
always
shit,
something.
or some shit didn't go down. If you know what I'm getting at already. I was
Yeah.
worried about you.
Well,
We had a health concern,
I
and it
was
wasn't
worried about
COVID
you.
related, so we're fine. We're keeping it safe. But there was an element of danger introduced last week. I was concerned. You got a look on your face right now.
it's the look I've been having for the last week. I have been through something.
You've been through an experience. Your body has been changing. As-
I'm going through
changes.
changes.
I cannot shit anymore. You had a week where you were all backed up.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
Well,
real bad.
first we were really legitimately concerned because you're like, I've got lower abdominal pain, and I had a friend that just had passed away from appendicitis, so we were like, halt all productions, get to a doctor, take care of yourself.
that was pretty fucked up. I just want to let you know.
Why?
I'm telling you, I'm gonna go to the emergency room to get an X-ray.
And I'm
he
like,
said,
my friend just.
Oh, by the way, my friend just died of appendicitis last month.
I was out of concern, and I was like, it's one more box that I wanted to make sure you were checking on to make sure it wasn't that.
I was already sweating a lot.
You think I was placing a hex on you, putting appendicitis in there?
He's like, I need a new producer.
God, work your magic. No, I was worried. You were complaining about real pain and discomfort, and so I wanted to be like, make sure it's not that, because life can be fucking scary sometimes, and shit like that happens. So we were worried.
Yeah, I've never been constipated like that before. I mean,
Well, hold on. Let's follow the train, because first it went from lower abdominal pain and concerns with that to then we were like, is it a kidney stone? You're like, it's in my family. We thought we were gonna have to get Dr. Evil lasers.
I had decided it was a kidney stone at that point because the pain was so sharp, right? And my brother, like probably every third time I see my brother, he's like, "You do not want to get a kidney stone."
It's just he's like a Vietnam vet at that point. It's just all he talks about was being in the shit.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but it's a lot of pain that he goes through.
Yeah,
and
I
my
imagine.
dad had one. I remember he went to the hospital, and
That's like the biggest
There's no
horror story of like a potential male problem for me. I've never had, knock on wood, a kidney stone, and I've had a lot of sodium, sugar, and a bunch of the bullshit that leads to that. But you watch that Kramer scene in Seinfeld where he's just like screaming, and you know, my family's had to deal with it a little bit, but it's not like a chronic issue like you were saying it is. So I was like, oh man, I don't wish that pain upon anybody. I was glad it wasn't appendicitis or anything serious, but then it was like kidney stones. I was like, ah, fuck, that's gonna suck for a couple days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Could do some damage on that dick.
No.
It's go rip it up.
No, I don't.
Hopefully not. No, you get the lasers in there so it doesn't.
I'm just waiting for the day that it happens because
Shard of glass. And, oh, dude, I don't even want to think about it.
we're
So
talking
let's move
into
on.
existence.
No, let's move on to what it really was, which it isn't any better, but thank God it was just that. It was just that you had to poop.
Well, I went and got X-rays, right? Got X-rays done just to make sure that nothing was in there, and the doctor, with just the slightest smirk on his face, came up to me. He's like,
For sure.
"You need to come see your X-rays." And he said, it was hurting on my left side, and he's like, he shows me the right side. It's all air. This is normal on the left side. He said, "That's all poopy in there. It's all just a bunch of poopy."
So you're saying we could get photographs of those X-rays and have physical evidence that you're occasionally full of shit?
I was so embarrassed that I was like, thank you so much, and I went. And
You're just thanking everybody.
Yeah. The clerk
Sorry
in the
for
front-
wasting your time.
Exactly, and they were all smiling at me like,
This
trying to look-
motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's just got a shit.
come in here with this like. I thought it was a serious medical issue, all worried.
But thank God it's just that, right? And that's why they're all smiling and giving you a little jab, is because you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm better now.
You're better now. Last night took a dump. Tonight I bounced back, if you will.
Well,
Well.
catch our new record label.
We're dropping hot flavor, hot fire,
Hot shit.
flavorful fire.
We're
And
dropping
it comes
some
in a
new shit.
variety of flavors, I guess, but it's still hot fire. Anyway, all right, moving on. But I was happy to know that you just had to take a shit. So were you just like eating a bunch of things to make you shit? Like were you taking like prunes and like eating salads and
Well,
what do you do when you're?
So
They didn't give you a suppository, did they?
no,
They didn't send any
No.
enemy soldiers in.
there was no exploration of that area.
That's good. I'm sorry to do that physical gesture. I don't know if that brought back any visceral memories for you from.
You know what? It's fine. I'm open to talking about it.
I know you're open
Very
now.
open with it.
we have cleared you out. We've opened you up.
Oh,
I'm sorry
Now
to be
I'm feeling
blowing
it.
you up like this, the way you blew up your toilet. After that all.
oh my God! You spent time on this.
I had a week to think about this.
Oh, I hate you so much.
You know what I'm really glad that, I was honestly kind of hoping for, because you told me that you were taking a bunch of laxatives. You ever shit yourself in public?
No comment.
No comment? Come on, baby.
Well, I know
That's
I've-
one of the unique common unifiers in humanity, is that we've all lost control of our bodily functions at one time or another. I don't care who the fuck you are, you've shit your pants.
Yeah, but it's not what you think. It's not like there's a big old, huge
Sure.
dookie in
Yeah.
there. Just a
Sometimes it
little
happens
dribble.
differently.
One time at a Sharks game,
There we
Same
go.
as-
Here we go.
I don't know why, I was drinking an icy
Uh-huh.
and just ate a bunch of stadium food or rink food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember
Rink
specifically
food.
Rink,
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Yeah.
the rink
Yeah, sorry. Continue.
rink eats.
Rink eats.
Basically, I remember this specifically because I was wearing these jeans that were my brother's old jeans. They were hand-me-down, so they were too big for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I stood up, and they kind of went down on my butt, right? And I remember there's a woman behind me who said, "That boy needs to get some pants that fit him." And then I sat down,
Uh-huh.
and I felt like when my pants kind of went down, I felt a breeze, and I knew it was a little wet in there.
Uh-oh.
So I had to check.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm not going to leave the seat, so I just kind of checked, put my hand back there a little bit.
No, you 100% leave the seat. You don't do it with a public audience.
I was like,
If that lady
I was like
noticed that
12.
your pants were falling down, she's gonna notice you checking on your situation. Oh shit.
Ooh,
I apologize.
you're fine.
I got excited there. I kicked something.
I mean,
So you checked, and after assessing the situation,
yeah. I had to do the proper paperwork, and it was confirmed.
it was confirmed.
There was a little bit of dirt under there, and
We have a confirmation that is a confirmed hit.
I don't think I told anybody. I was there with my dad and my brother, I think.
Yeah. You know, you never tell anybody.
You
You hope
can't.
you don't have to.
Yeah. But the whole car ride home. San Jose.
Everyone's going, what's that? Did you have the windows down or did you just let them find out?
No, I don't think. I think they thought somebody stepped in dog shit.
That's a good way to go.
And I was like,
Let them believe. They introduced that idea. Let them live in that idea.
exactly.
You don't have to take any accountability if you're not forced to.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in that situation. Needless to say, I have some experience in this realm.
Let me hear it.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm not just going to shit on you for having a shitty week. You know, I got to tell you my shit stories now.
This has to stop.
Is it am I terrorizing you a little bit? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right. Well,
Love you, man.
I love you too, dude. I'm glad you're okay. That's the the crux of the joke here.
Yeah.
Is that I'm glad it wasn't anything serious. Yeah, I have a unfortunate history. I guess it runs in my family. The other day I was like in quarantine. You know, since I don't have the ability all the time to go out and run jokes by an audience, I'll run them on my family members. And so the other day I was making my dad laugh, and he was trying to take a nap outside in our hammock. It was like a nice sunny day. He was super relaxed, very vulnerable. And I came in there and I started just going in on him, and he starts laughing and farting. It was the funniest part. And then I start laughing because he's laughing and farting, and then he's going, "Oh," and then you see him kind of,
Oh.
yeah. And the eagle had landed. And then
Was he still in the hammock at this point?
of course. So then he's got to shimmy his way out of the hammock, and I'm fucking
God.
howling.
The free floating.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, you know, as a man, sometimes you look at a new pack of underwear and you put on, you go, not all of you are gonna make it, you know. Not all of you are gonna see the other side. We're gonna lose some good lives, some good soldiers out there. All right, but you're dying for an idea. And
Bring
sometimes you gotta let it out. You take a mean shit when you're not expecting it, and you're gonna ditch your underwear. Have you ever had to ditch underwear in public? Well, were you that day when you were wearing the loose pants? Did you have it underwear at least?
I had boxers on, yeah.
Did you ditch the boxers?
No, I
Rookie move.
I sat
Rookie
in my
move.
stink.
Ditch those boxers, dude.
Where? Just throw them on the ice?
Just toss them over your shoulder to that lady.
That lady that was being very rude.
No. So the first time I shit my pants, I didn't even know. I was told about it by my parents. I was like one of those babies that you hear about that have the incident where, like, apparently it's when the diaper's too tight. It's like a young parent's mistake. You learn a rookie move where you don't tie the diaper too tight, because they had created a high pressure zone. And so when I injected a little rocket fuel, it went like, they were at a restaurant one day, and just in the middle of this restaurant, all of a sudden, I have like this little toddler. I have explosive diarrhea. It shoots up my diaper, up my back, and like just in the middle of this restaurant.
It's like a little fountain.
Yeah, exactly. A little fountain. Not a fountain of joy though. A little chocolate fountain.
The other people eating there.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Like, don't you miss indoor dining?
Oh God.
Oh man. So that was the first time, and then
you're a repeat offender.
I am unfortunately a repeat offender.
Jeez.
I remember one time. In my defense, it's all happened when I've been sick. But I guess that's neither here nor there at this point. But I remember one time, it was in middle school. I just moved to San Diego, and I was hanging out with my buddy Ryan. And our moms were going out to dinner. Our moms became friends, and Ryan called me and he's like, my mom's bringing me, you should come too, let's hang out, we'll go run around while our moms are fucking getting drunk and doing whatever they're doing. And I was like, I think I have food poisoning, I'm feeling sick, I don't know if I should come hang out, like I'm sweating, I don't feel good. And they're going to like a Mexican restaurant. That's the last place I want to be, is just in the middle of a restaurant, sweating and potentially being a ticking time bomb. And
with Mexican food.
Yeah, exactly. Just to throw that little bit of gas on the fire, if you will. But needless to say, he talks me into coming. So we go to like roam around as middle schoolers do. We're walking around the shopping complex, and I'm feeling like shit. I'm sweating. I got something going on. and we go into this Petco or PetSmart or some shit, and we're walking around looking at the animals, and I remember we were like walking around the birds, and I stuck my finger into the parrot's cage just to like, I'm an idiot, and then it bit my finger, and I jumped, and it literally scared the shit out of me. I was in a weakened state. All right. I was sick. I was vulnerable. I was already like on the verge, and it was just that little bit of a shock that it opened the doors just a bit. So like,
why did you put your finger in the cage, man?
I'm an idiot, I won't deny that part. But
so you're saying the animal in the cage let the animal out of the cage?
Exactly. I was trying to make Ryan laugh by poking the bird, and then I made him really laugh by shitting my pants in the middle of a Petco. No. And so now he's fucking howling, laughing, and he's basically pissing his pants, and there's no bathroom in a Petco, so I'm like, it thankfully wasn't a lot. It was just like you said, that little bit of a accidental release.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Like, where do I fucking go? And there's a Burger King just like 100 yards across this parking lot. And so now it's just a miserable walk for me trying to keep it in and make it to that Burger King. And then my friend Ryan just howling at me and laughing so hard and realizing that I'm just a fucking jester for his amusement at that point. And I was feeling so sick. And yeah, I had to ditch those boxers in that Burger King. My favorite pair of boxers. But listen.
Did you get food? When
you're in the shit, did you get food? Oh no, I think we went home like right after that. He was laughing so hard at me, and I was like, I feel like shit. And he's like, yeah, you got to go home.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's a moment of maturity. You get a little older the first time you shit your pants.
For sure. You realize that life is hard. And sometimes you got to react in the moment, and you got to have a disaster plan. You got to be able to think on the fly. And you got to be willing to go home without some boxers,
Yeah.
It is what it is. I remember, God, I don't know why I feel bad that I threw you under the bus, so now I guess I'll throw myself under the bus. I remember when I was just moving into San Francisco, I met these two girls online I was going to roommate with.
Here we go.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, yeah, LA, it's going to be fucking fun. I'm living with these two chicks in North Beach. They're really cool. We were going to pick out furniture one day, and again, I was feeling super fucking sick. And they needed my Jeep to haul this couch, and and it was one of those things where we were like looking around in there and checking all these couches out, and I was just like trying to get through it and fucking sweating and just like holding on for dear life. And I fucking thought I made it. I thought I made it, and I was gonna be okay. And then right as we're walking out the door, my roommate sees this couch that was like positioned on that wall that we didn't see when we came in, but we're seeing as we come out. And she's like, "Oh, come sit down on it with me. Let's test it out." And I'm like, I can see it's too big. It's not gonna fit. Let's just get out of here. We'll find something. And she's like, no, come on. It's actually kind of nice. And I was like, I really am late. And she's like, late. I'm just making a bullshit at this point. And so they finally get me to sit down, and it's like right as I sit down, it's that little bit of relaxing.
Oh no!
Just a little
warmth in there. God.
And now I'm sitting, and I'm just like, yeah, no, it's good. I think it's all right. We can maybe come back for this one. Maybe we'll come back for it. And I just like stood up right away, and she's like, you barely even sat on it.
Did you check the couch for marks?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to do. Immediately get off the couch, because if I didn't want to leave any evidence. So I was like, as long as it's contained.
You poop it, you buy it.
Yeah, again, this is a disaster. I'm remembering my training. What do I do here? I isolate the incident, and then I gotta eliminate the evidence. So I was like, I managed to get my roommates into the car, and then I was like, wait a minute, I gotta go back inside real quick. I'm gonna have one more look at that couch. And I was like, do you have a bathroom? And they were like, it's employees only. I said, no, not today.
With the wrath of God.
And I got in there and fucking swiped the crime scene. And
yeah. Did you leave the boxers?
Yeah. You put them halfway into the wastebasket. You put some paper towels on top.
Mm-hmm.
Dry paper towels, a layer of wet paper towels, and then soap.
Okay. Oh, you got a method for it.
Unfortunately. At this point, I've had to develop a method. So listen, don't feel like you're alone in that. And at least I was hoping that with the amount of laxatives you were ingesting, I was going to get like a really terrific shitting story. But you were kind of just like, yeah, I'm all right now. And to be honest, I was a little disappointed. So now I had to inject some.
Well, it was disappointing to me as well. Everybody who I told, they're like, if it's big,
Take
send me a
pictures.
picture.
And
I damn near overdosed on laxatives because I took more than I should have, and it didn't work. And I finally drank magnesium citrate.
it just busted it up.
Scrambles it, you know, and it was kind of like all throughout the night, every hour and a half. Had to make a little trip to the bathroom and feel like a girl for a little bit.
Well, I don't know if that's what girls feel like.
Sorry, I went out there. I don't mean that as you know, but it just.
Oh, we know what you meant by it. Girls shit. They do.
They do. Everyone poops.
Everybody poops.
But it wasn't. There were no solids.
Well, I was hoping for an incident. I can't lie. I didn't want anything to affect your health, and that now that it had entered the comedic realm, I wanted to lean into that, and I wanted some sort of, yeah.
You wanted to extort me for comedic
little bit.
value.
A little
which
bit.
is fine.
Because we had, it was like, well, at least if we're waiting for a week, we've got a week to write about this experience and somehow, spin it positively so that it wasn't just this stressful week of thinking, it was appendicitis and we really had to worry. And now knowing it was just a little poop.
Well, now that it's out there on the internet, I feel so much better.
Yeah, I thought you might.
The weight off my shoulders.
I thought if we aired it out like you had to air out that bathroom, it might do you some good. Anyway, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
We were just fucking walking around here downtown outside the studio, and the streets are abuzz. People are outside. They're, masked up, but they're just fucking out there. Like there was a lady walking around with a parrot on her shoulder out there. Did you see the bird lady?
I did not.
I saw her twice. Once right out front, and then once over out front of the Amazon store. She's showing that parrot off.
There's some interesting animals here.
Yeah, people. It's interesting. I felt that today. Everyone had their pet on display. I remember when I hadn't felt that since I was in Japan. In Japan, people have like really unique pets. I remember there was this guy walking around a little duck on a leash with little shoes.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was like, this is badass.
That's sweet. How do you train it?
Yeah, right. Is it really that trained, or is it just kind of going with it? If I was a duck and I was living that life, I think you just don't ask any questions. You put the shoes on and you waddle. You put on a show.
Well, they taught one to perform for those Affleck commercials. So
is that what was a practical effect? That's a real. All right.
I don't know. Anyways,
but yeah, everyone's out there fucking with all their shit on display. There's people out there with their muscle cars and all their Sunday drivers. And comedy still coming back. More shows. Did shows Friday, Saturday. I got shows coming up this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and
where were your shows on Friday?
Friday was Pacifica in San Francisco, and then Saturday was San Francisco as well. And then there's been stuff going on in Oakland, and I hear things are coming back in LA and San Diego now, and shit's been going on in Arizona and Texas, but yeah, I think I saw even like. It's cool. New clubs are opening up too. And like a buddy of mine, Stromoid, big guy in the Bay Area, hashtag Hella Funny Crew. They used to do this show at a bar called Neck of the Woods. And he just partnered with the owner to like buy out the upstairs and turn it into like essentially a comedy club.
I know Neck of the Woods.
It's a cool spot. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, there's going to be a comedy club there now, essentially. Sweet. Yeah. So it's cool. Like
that place is big too.
Yeah.
There's tons of space in it.
Yeah. It's nice to see that there's that kind of synergy in the local community with artists and with business owners. And, yeah, like the shows that I've been doing at Milk Bar and The Hate, like they're selling out all of their comedy shows now. And, you could have gone to that bar pre-pandemic and it would have been like maybe a fourth of those people or a third of those people. Like for whatever reason, comedy seems to be like the perfect stimulus package for getting these restaurants going again that can't just have indoor dining and that have the outdoor dining kind of infrastructure. Anyway, yeah, it's been exciting.
Well, that's cool. Rise from the ashes kind of thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm burping.
Too.
Get a little bubble. A little bubble. But yeah, I don't know. I was just getting back out there, you know. I figured we'd get in here and talk about comedy because it's all I want to talk about. But we have yet to really have that conversation about getting started too. And you know, going back to all of these shows starting up again, it's funny to see. It feels in a lot of ways like right where you left off. And then in some ways you see people putting on shows and going through like the stresses and the woes of producing and wearing all the hats and juggling all the moving pieces. And it's got kind of that, not day one energy, but like, I don't know, there's that buzz and uncertainty and element of it where, you know, everyone's just like, we're, you know, throwing all these pieces together, hope it's going to go well. And people are having to adapt to these unique circumstances, like being outdoors and having a limited capacity and having to follow different regulations. Does everyone bring their own mic? Does everyone wear masks while they perform? Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that like, it very much feels like we're all figuring it out together again, even though like a lot of us comics are able to pick up right where we left off as far as our delivery and our material and our comedic growth. The community's having to like adapt and, you know.
Sounds kind of like a refresh of the comedy community.
It is in an interesting way. Like you know, well, it's just in any way that like when there's this big kind of problem, it presents the opportunity for multiple solutions. And like, you know, everything one day will return to the way it was or some version of it, you know? But like, I don't know, it was just wild to where this bar, the Milk Bar and the Hate that I'm going to use as a specific example, used to be like where we would go for a lot of open mics and local showcases. And it's not like a big venue by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like, you know, our local spot and our little workshop. And now they're selling out shows a couple nights a week. And it's like, you know, I don't know exactly how many people, and I don't want to put them on blast as far as regulations and all that, but they do a good job of meeting guidelines, but also making it feel like a little intimate club space outdoors. And we were having drinks after the show, and the bartender was so funny. She was so lit and just feeling good about the night. But she was like, fuck it, you know, Cobb's Punchline, if they're closed and they're not ready to open yet, this will be Cobb's. This will be the Punchline. It's the Milk Bar now. This is our time. This is where it's going to be. And it kind of feels like that, where like this is like a moment in comedy. And it'll pass and things will kind of settle in a way, or they'll be pushed to a new bar, a new standard, and things will kind of resemble the way they were. But there is this like unique moment now where it's about these like independent establishments that support the artist communities. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's just interesting.
It's cool how it provides opportunities to different venues to kind of, I guess, get ahead in the race.
Yeah.
Of anything.
Well, it's like this boat company that I started doing my show on is a family-owned small business, and they do like, you know, some theme nights like casino nights, and they'll have like a DJ on or something like that. And I think they might have had a band a couple times, but they really don't do. They did a movie night one time too. But when I went to them to talk about doing comedy shows, he was like, "How is comedy on the San Francisco Bay not already a thing?" And I was like, kind of exactly. Like that's what I was thinking when I was walking around here looking for a place to start a show. Is like rather than looking at what has been done, you know, what can we do that would be super cool and different and unique and adaptive to this specific time in comedy, this moment, but that could also transition and survive back into normalcy, where it could be like, it's a very unique and cool experience as far as how to experience comedy in San Francisco. So it's cool that we found that, but it all kind of came about through this stirring up of the pot, you know, where I probably wouldn't have been looking at a boat to do a show on because we had clubs. You know, and I got friends that are doing really cool shows in baseball parks and like on baseball diamonds. Shout out to Pete Ballmer and Jeff Dean. And people are just becoming very ingenuitive in this time because they have to. But it's creating really unique experiences. to where, before then you probably wouldn't have been huddled up with bleachers full of people on a baseball field watching comedians in a spotlight. But, since we don't have the club format, we're having to like flip the script and find new delivery mechanisms and experiences. Anyway, now I'm rambling.
So before you got into having the balls to go approach a boat company to have your own comedy show on the bay, what was kind of your way of getting into that confidence in comedy?
What do you mean?
Like, how did you build your confidence as a comedian? I mean, I know that we talked on episode 2 about Cobb's.
Yeah.
Right.
Just over time. I mean, to say that I have built confidence is one thing, but I'm not going to deny all the insecurity that's still there. You never really stop being insecure. You just find ways of being less insecure until eventually you are perceived as being confident. I guess, I don't know. Maybe different for some people. I envy people that have like bold, loud confidence that is unforgiving and uncompromising, because I have moments of insecurity and doubt and fear and all that. But, you find ways to use that as well. It's like you could just be motivated all the time, and do things out of love. Sometimes fear is an excellent motivator as well. It's a bit of a dark art that you wield, but it pushes you, and it holds you to a standard. So I don't know. I mean, confidence is something that like is only earned very, very incrementally over time. Like, I don't know. I only have confidence in myself on stage because I know like who I am and what I'm trying to do. And I know that I've put in the nights, the hours, the reps, the sets, and tested this material. So it comes with having the confidence in your material from having done it enough times and for long enough to be able to just like, from an objective standpoint, assess the effect your comedic presence has on an audience and say, I can either command the space or I can't. And even if you can't, doesn't mean that you won't one day get there. It's just,
Right, but before you knew that, like, how did you build up the confidence to just go up there the first time?
Okay, so, well, I mean, I think I'm confused because you're talking about starting stand-up, and I thought you were talking about starting this boat show. So let's just rewind and talk about starting stand-up.
Yeah.
No, yeah. No.
I was just asking about confidence in comedy and just in general because
for sure
I'm not a comedian.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the only I'll answer both questions. I'll answer the boat question first, and then we'll just retrace and start with comedy. But sure. The only reason I had the confidence to go up to them and offer a show is because I've been working at my material, and I have a lot of peers that I respect and funny friends that I know I could rally to deliver good shows for this business that is getting by, but I could potentially put more eyes on them and inject more interest and get more people on their boats. If only just for the comedy shows, it might get them to come out for another sightseeing tour on another day or whatever, but at least you've got an audience now that is coming to your business for another new reason. Right. So I only had the confidence to go to him because I felt like I had something that I could really offer and build upon, and I believe in the comedy community in the Bay Area. So I was like, there's funny ass people here that I can cycle through on a regular basis. And I can also, pull working comedians that are looking for work right now, because everyone is looking for work. And I wanted to be able to give that opportunity to everybody. And I wanted to give that opportunity to this business as well. And then, it's obviously an opportunity and a platform for me, but I just wanted, if I can carve out a system where I have shows for myself Friday, Saturday night, 2 shows a night, then that's just like working clubs again. And that's, at the very least, I've got those 4 sets each week. And, obviously I'm going to be scrapping for more, but, it's just about keeping up the consistency.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had, the posse where the stable of peers that I really believe in, that I could be like, we got you. And we can put on fun shows and create a really unique experience that only happens through your business. So, all right, now we're rewinding. to start in comedy, how did I have the confidence? I did not. I did not.
Just flat out did not.
No, I wanted to start, and we talked about that with Cobbs, is I wanted to start, but I wasn't brave enough. So I was like, I need to learn more. I need to understand this better. And I made it like most things with all of us in our minds. We make mountains out of molehills. And I was putting it on this pedestal and thinking that I had to be great right away or perfect. And, just be good. Just be good enough. Or just be, okay. But also like enjoy the journey. Anyway, I'm getting, I'm all over the place here because I don't know which conversation I want to have about comedy yet, but
it's all good.
Having the confidence was something that took a long time, and it really I didn't have it beforehand. I only gained it afterwards. I think I had, maybe some drunk confidence, but I also had support of my peers that I'd met through working at the comedy club. So to start, I came to Cobb's in March of 2017, I think, and that's when I started working there. And I knew I wanted to start stand-up at that point. I had been writing in the background. I was trying shit out in front of my friends, in front of my family, but I wasn't ready to put myself out there to the world yet or to the public. So I was just kind of living in that theoretical space. And then after it was 9 months or so after working there, it started in March, went up in December for the first time. It was a combination of all the advice that I had gotten from those people that I really looked up to and people that I didn't know were going to be important to me, but that, your paths cross and you realize, I don't know, if anything that I could tag onto that conversation we had about Cobb's too. The only reason I bring up what those people did for me is that you want to feel like that stuff doesn't go unnoticed. When you do something for someone else, you want to know that you feel like you did a good thing, but it's another thing to know that it really landed. And so I was, anyway, I got a lot of really great support from the local comedians too. In those 9 months that I was working there and a comedy intern and kind of scrubbing the court and listening to them as they were going back into the locker room, and then eventually brave enough to contribute to the conversation as at least a comedy fan or aficionado or comedy club employee or whatever. It was a lot of them that started to invite me to open mics and say, when you're ready, it's not as far away as you think it is. And kind of all telling me that I didn't need to make it as big of a thing as I was, and just trying to give me an entry point and saying, you could just start. And it's like what I was saying with that episode. You could just start working. You could think about it and be afraid of it forever, but it's just as easy, if not easier, to just start working. So it was a lot of the local comedians and then the comedy club staff, those of them that were pursuing comedy, around that I made my intentions known pretty soon on at Cobb's. I told the rest of the staff that one day I want to be a comic, and eventually the bartenders or the other door guys that were doing comedy would be like, yo, we're going to hit up this spot. We're going to go to that spot. If you want to come, meet us there. If not. And I just kept bitching out. I was like, I don't know. I love comedy so much that I didn't want to be I didn't want to take away from anyone else's opportunity or time. I was being not way too considerate, because I want to be considerate and I want to live in that world where you're respecting the process and the art form. But there are a lot of people that are just, I had this guy 2 nights ago at a show, just this kind of random local guy come up to me. He's like, comedians kind of remind me of rats. He's like, anytime there's stage time, they all just scurry out and they're all trying to gnaw and climb. And I was like, well, that's not really a great picture.
A rat bastard.
You rat bastards. you remind me of a bunch of rats. And so I was getting philosophical with this guy smoking a joint. I was like, so what are you trying to tell me, man? Are you trying to say that maybe you want to be a rabbit in a sea of rats? he's like, man, well, I don't know enough about that species to make. But anyway, it didn't become as philosophical as I was hoping. But anyhow, you know, a lot of people are just kind of clamoring for stage time. And so why shouldn't you? If you feel like you've got an opportunity, go chase it. Don't let anybody else hold you back. Believe in yourself and go get it. And so it took me a lot of time to get out of my own way. And what really like was a turning point for me is after that one weekend with it all happened in succession, but I already outlined that. But I had gotten the advice that I needed from the comedy, from some of my idols and people that I looked up to, and I had gotten it from my community. And then my apartment in North Beach was a couple blocks away from the comedy club, but also like literally right across the street. I didn't realize it at the time, but the more I started walking around and exploring, was a bar that had an open mic. It literally, like, if I looked outside my window across the street, there's a bar with an open mic. And so now,
so you just placed yourself kind of
without
in a great area
without knowing it. I mean, I was trying to get close to Cobb's, but I didn't realize that this was right there. But as soon as I did figure that out, it was like every night that I went to sleep after that, I would always kind of look out the window at it and be like, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Oh my God. I'm all bubbly.
Okay, I can we pause the conversation because I have a really random question that's kind of related.
Okay.
But we can pick up afterwards. I just want to know, what's the difference between a comedian and a comic?
That's like,
if there is one.
People will again get very philosophical with you about that question. The easiest answer to that for the public, for like the layman or like the person that enjoys comedy that is wondering if they're saying something wrong, it's splitting hairs. It's the same thing. Comedian, comic, it's essentially the same thing. Now, I forget who had this quote, but someone says a comedian says funny things. A comic says things funny. I think, or some iteration of that. I'm paraphrasing here and not quite getting it right, but to me, that always intimated that a comedian says funny things. It's a wacky guy. I'm a comedian. I'm the jester. Right. And you know, it's like the Kramer. You walk in, and it's just a larger than life kind of caricature persona that is just comedy personified. It's funny things that kind of just like emanate in everything that you do. And then a comic, people will say, is the intellectual half of that coin that says things funny. That's like your George Carlin that lets you know that there's 7 words that you can't say on television, or like it's saying things that you know but didn't know were funny. Or he's helping you find, I guess it's the Jerry Son. I don't know. You know, you could throw any number of names at that wall and they might stick, but you get kind of what I'm saying there. That's the difference, is that some people, when they say like, what's the difference between a comedian and a comic? That's the distinction being made, is that a comedian says funny things. They're the wacky persona. They're a character on stage. And a comic is that insightful, thoughtful, more philosophical, Socratic kind of.
So it's almost like, is it 2 different disciplines or is it 2 different styles?
That's a good question. That's an interesting question, because I think it is. And I think I've seen kind of
2 disciplines or 2 styles.
I mean,
like 2 schools.
You could follow one discipline or the other and still implement the other style. But I think that there are comedians and there are comics. I think people end up defining themselves based on, okay, so I won't say any names, but one person, when I was opening for them, said, and this is, you could debate either side of this argument, either side of this statement, and it is true either way, I think. He said, it's not about what you're saying, it's about how you're saying it. It doesn't matter about the content, it's just, are you being entertaining? How are you saying it? It's your presence, and so to me, that was instruction on how to be a comedian, not instruction on how to be a comic. because I want to be a comic, and it does matter what I'm saying. I want it to matter what I'm saying. I know it doesn't right now because I'm 27 and dumb as fuck, and I'm gonna take what I can get, and I'm learning the craft. I'm picking up the tools and learning how to whittle, and eventually one day I'll be able to. It's like when you see in the movies the little kid picks up the sword for the first time, and it's so fucking heavy that the first victory is just being able to pick up the sword.
Right.
And then eventually you can do the
Right.
be Darth Maul and flip all around and be a badass. But first you just got to pick up that sword and be comfortable, having that as an extension of you.
So when you heard him say that,
it
didn't sit right with you. What? You don't have to use names. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, it didn't really sit right with me. I mean, I totally understood it, and he's 100% right, because either way, if you're a comedian or a comic, it's a performance art, and it does matter the way you're saying things. Because if you're just going up there and monotone delivering, unless you're Stephen Wright or Mitch Hedberg or Jesselnick, or like one of these really, really good writers that can just I'm throwing him in there, but I think you do need to focus on the performative element of what you're doing. And also, like Steve Martin said, you're there to inform. I think this was in his book. He said you're there to inform the people what's funny, not ask for any kind of permission from the audience. And so you need to take like an authoritative stance with them and not be giving any sort of, like, you're not there to ask for permission. And so I think what this guy was telling me in that moment was inject the energy into my body language so that I'm not there kind of auditioning my ideas, and I'm more presenting them in a dynamic fashion. But they are two disciplines to me, and there is a difference between a comedian and a comic. Everyone has the potential to be both, and will probably spend time in their careers being either side of the coin. I think it's just the one that you commit more time to. But it's also, I think it's harder to be a comic than a comedian. I think that a lot of people get by when they find, like, it's like when you find that thing that makes your friends laugh in high school, and then it becomes an inside joke, and you just do it and do it and do it and do it and do it, and it keeps getting laughs. But eventually your friends are like, they start to understand that it's like kind of a trick you're pulling on them, or like an act. It becomes more transparent rather than evolutionary. Anyway.
Well, I have to apologize to you.
No, you don't.
Because I'm really sorry I've been referring to you as a comedian when I realize I should be referring to you as a comic.
I like to be both, and I would like to try to. Here's the thing. I don't know, man. I do think they are unique things, but also interchangeable. I don't like creating in and out groups and classifications for people and qualifying some people as comedians and some people as comics. If you are following the pursuit of comedy and your intentions are like pure with that, you're a comic, you're a comedian, you're in that brotherhood. But you do see people wielding it differently. But that's the nature of art, is that everyone has a different approach, and one is not better than the other, or should not. When I say that I want to be a comic because I want what I say to matter, that's a little bit too much of like a put down to the comedian side of the coin then, because comedians, 100% of the things that they say matter. And think of how many quotable comedian or like, anyway, as long as comedy is being respected, you're in both camps, and you can follow either one. You can wield either either side of the blade, the shield, the sword, whatever the fuck you want to say. Anyway, I wasn't trying to get too political and divisive there, but it's an interesting question, because I think there is a little bit of a. I'm walking all over this line here because I can't decide myself. And what I realize is I'm, just a little over almost 4 years into this, I'm not qualified to make declarative statements like that. I'm just commenting on what I've observed, I guess.
Well, I didn't know that it was controversial, or more or less, because I thought it was just gonna be a simple answer, but
I think I'm making it more controversial than it is, for the record.
Well, I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just hear them, and I wondered if there was some significance between the two of them.
I think you start to see comedians and comics self-defining as one or the other, and so then people that are comedy fans are like, wait a minute, which one is it? Is it a comedian or is it a comic? Anyway, it's
just a big joke.
I mean, it's honestly like it's kind of inconsequential, but it also is. It's just not. Anyway, they're the same thing for all intents and purposes. From the outside looking in, they're comedians, they're comics, the same thing. They're funny people.
Gotcha.
Some people try harder at it than others. Some people are just naturally charismatic. Some people are writers, philosophical. Some, anyway, there's, like we said, 31 flavors of Ben and Jerry's or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
You like watching me dance on ice over here? You like what you do to me? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings and make them feel like they're not being a real comic or being a real comedian. Who the fuck am I to say that? As long as you're treating comedy right, here's what I do have a problem with.
Okay.
I hate people that are just in it for I mean, hate is a strong word, but I am strongly put off by people that are just in comedy for the money, that are just in comedy for the status, the fame. Okay, so like an example of this, and I'm sorry to fucking double down on this conversation, but we had that Chris to steal your virginity jab in the first episode.
Right.
And I felt a little bit bad about punching a man while he's down. But then just yesterday, Chris broke silence and released like a 9-minute statement.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, and it was very, in my opinion, a little bit insincere, and he didn't really apologize to the girls and kind of made himself a victim and said, I'm a sex addict, and
yeah, it's narcissistic. And
that this is all, here's what he said that bothered me. He said, this has always been about sex for me. Okay, well then fuck you. Like at
comedy has been?
Yeah. And so at that point, I don't respect you as a man or a comedian or a comic. It's like, this is all about sex for you and it's not about comedy for you. Then why the fuck are you here? Why are you walking through the halls of the Comedy Store with some of the greatest of all time, taking opportunity away from them, trying to breathe comedic truth into the world when you're just trying to get your dick sucked by some fucking, So that's that shit I don't like. That to me is where I will draw lines and say that there are some people that are just in this for the wrong reasons. And then there are people that are trying to take money out of other people's pockets. They're trying, like, I remember Kevin Hart, his most recent special. I was like, I had just become a Kevin Hart fan. I actually used to listen to his specials a lot when I was in college, and I would listen to them with other people and watch how they would listen to them. And that was like when I was really learning about how comedy spoke to different people. And it took me so long to be like, this guy really loves comedy and wants to be a great comedian. I was like trying to convince myself that it wasn't about the status, it wasn't about the stardom, it wasn't about, being a mogul and a brand guy and a huge mega star, and that he was trying to cement his legacy and working harder at it every time, I thought. And then his most recent special, again, I'm not trying to shit on Kevin Hart, but he comes out and he starts like, first of all, it's filmed in his mansion, in like his little side basement where he's made a comedy club for himself that have posters of himself all over the wall. Fine, celebrate your accomplishments and all that, but the people in the audience are clearly his people and like his fans and supporters. It's not like he sold these tickets on Ticketmaster and people flew in for it. Like, it's clearly his friends and family. And he's like complaining about cancel culture and the fact that fans today ruined the experience of being famous and that he misses his bitches. And I was like, this is the most unrelatable shit ever, dude. And it's also like the worst kind of roadmap that you could leave for comedians is not only showing them that you didn't care about it the whole time and that you were just looking for something else, but also then like kind of, I don't know, whinging about it afterwards, like complaining about success. And that's where, to me, I think if you're in it for success, money, sex, whatever, then you're going to find the emptiness at the end of that road. And you're at least, hopefully, if you're a real comic, a real comedian, you're trying to find that comedic truth in the relationship with people that are looking for the other side of that truth. You're the wielder and the deliverer of the truth, and they're the recipients. They're the people that need it. You know, they're the ones like me that are going to comedy clubs after horrifically hard events in their lives that, or, you know, maybe it's just day-to-day mundane shit, but one way or another, they're like pleading with the universe for release, and they're going to comedy clubs to get some of that. And I think that places a lot of self-importance on comedy. And I know I'll probably get like, you know, you take yourself pretty fucking seriously, but I would rather fall into that camp of people that take comedy seriously than the people that are just in it for the roller coaster ride and just in it to fucking get a Bentley and a Rolex and fuck bitches and get money and all right, you know. Anyway, I don't know how we got onto that.
Well, it's not substantial, but, you know.
Yeah.
That was a good way to describe your placement of yourself within the community.
Well, you see what you see, and you decide which side of the fence you want to be on, which side of the I don't know. You know, you just see what it means to different people. And I know what it meant to me as a kid, as a young man, as an outsider looking in, as a fan, and then as a comedy club employee, and then as a young comedian, and now as a burgeoning comedian that's pushing. I know what it means to me. And when I see what it means to other people, sometimes it can be disappointing. Anyway, we were talking about the first open mic and how I got that confidence.
That was like 30 minutes ago.
I know. And
Let's go back.
We went on a tangent.
No, that's cool.
But I'll tell the first open mic story, because if we're having a comedy conversation today, I can't leave that part out of it.
Please, I've been wanting to hear this. You've been keeping this from me.
I haven't been meaning to. I just wanted to save it for this. But
Well, I know.
I mean, it's not even that great. What it really was is, for me, again, finding faith in unexpected places, finding opportunity, and I don't know, it's just an interesting series of events. So hold on, maybe I'll speak about it retrospectively once I've outlined it for you guys. But essentially, like I said, I was living across the street from this place that I found out had an open mic. I found out it was every Tuesday. And so after this one weekend with that headliner that I was telling me to just get out of my way and get out there and just go do it. After that weekend, the very next Tuesday, I was like, okay, I'm going to this open mic. It is right across the street from my house. I have no fucking excuse. There's no reason. I literally have to walk fucking 10 feet and I'm there. You know, I have no reason to be held up in my room, peeking behind my curtain, thinking about this dream, making it feel like it's so far away when it is right there. And I know that it's not going to be that way for everybody with whatever dream you're following or pursuing, but I promise you, it is just across the street. Even if it's a little bit further physically than that, metaphorically, it is just across the street, you know? And then when it came time to cross that street, God, okay, so I wrote some shit in my phone. I had my collection of jokes, and I gave a little set list for myself in the Notes app. I was okay. I'm going to go across the street, not even going to sign up today. I'm just going to watch. Which was such a betrayal of the confidence that I had just been given that previous weekend. And I was all gassed up to go, and then for whatever reason the night of, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to watch so I can understand it. I had been watching comedy for fucking anyway, so I was making excuses for myself. I was being a bitch. And I get out the door to walk across the street and literally fucking pivot and turn back to my apartment.
No.
I know. And I'm like, what are you fucking doing? I'm like arguing with myself in the middle of the street, like halfway back up the stairs to my apartment. I'm like, fucking get back over there. And I finally make it across the street, and I don't go inside the bar yet. I see people outside that I recognize from Cobb's, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I, comics that had come through, and they're kind of just like, oh yeah, it's that guy. And I light up a smoke, and I'm sitting there and just kind of fucking pacing around outside, just sweating it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm here now. I can't just walk back. What does it say if I walk back across the street? What does it say to me? It's a decision that I'm making to, hold myself back. I was going through this fucking huge psychological battle in my head, just making things bigger than I needed to, which I don't know if anyone else out there does that, but don't. You don't need to torture yourself like that. And I was for like a fucking hour and a half. Finally, I get in there, and by this time, they're like, the mic is almost over. And there's like, 2-3 people in there. I get a whiskey at the bar. I'm sitting down, and the host comes over to me. Big, tall, white guy, looks like Paul Walker from Fast and the Furious.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. His name's Travis Thielen. I fucking love him. Shout out to Travis. And really, really nice guy. Comes up to me, hey, man, seeing you around, what are you doing here? And I was like, I just came here to watch. And he's like, you going to sign up? And I was like, nah, I'm just going to watch. And he's like, you going to sign up? Come on, sign up. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. And, now I'm just fucking being an idiot. And he was like, well, I'm going to put your name on the last spot. If you want to go home, just cross it off so I know you left. And I was like, don't write it. I'll write it on there. If I'm going to go up, I'll write it on there. So if you see it, I'm here. And he was just like, okay, buddy. And I was being such a fucking pussy about it. I'm sitting there at the bar, and then like 2-3 people from Cobb's just happened to roll through the door. The show must have just let out. I wasn't working that night, and they were like, hey, and they're like, you're signing up too, huh? And I was like, well, I don't know. And they're like, well, there you are now. And so,
nice.
So it was 2 people that were kind of, doing comedy. And they were like, we're going to do it together. This is what it's about. And it, I'm ashamed to say that it did take someone else pushing me. It took a lot of people pushing me. And, if anyone out there is listening, fucking be brave. Believe in yourself. I wish I hadn't wasted, it wasn't wasted time because I learned a lot and everything happened the way it was supposed to for me. And there's no real prescribed path or timetable or timeline for anybody. You just figure your own life out. But if you have that little voice gnawing at you that's telling you what you think the right direction is for you, you better than anyone else. So follow that voice and just fucking jump. For me, I was one of those people that was digging their heels into the cliff and had a fucking crowd of people trying to push me off it. And finally, I was like, all right, we're jumping together. And so we were like the last 3 spots on the mic. And I remember Travis was so fucking excited. My Cobb's employees were so excited. And I get up there and I'm so fucking in here and not even looking at anybody and so like bashfully embarrassed almost delivering my jokes. And I remember it was a rowdy sports bar, and I definitely didn't have a great set, didn't have a good set, but people quieted down and started to listen. And then I started to get chuckles, and I think I got a laugh or 2. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like, I just, like I felt it in every pore of me that like, why did I wait this long? I never knew that I could do something that felt so right. I don't know, like it just, it was all theoretical in my head, and I was making it up to be this huge fucking thing. And then once I got there, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know, it clicked for me. I was like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm so glad I found it. I'm just sorry it took this long. And it really wasn't like from a huge amount of confidence. It was from the exact opposite. It was from so much fear and anxiety. The confidence, really, I'm only now starting to get. It's taken years, And part of that is from, I was not a cool kid growing up. Even my fucking friends would pick on me, and like I was the kid that would get ditched in the friend group and get bullied, and I was a fat kid. I went to fat camp. Like I got stories, doggy. And I I've been so in my head for a lot of my life that it really took a big push for me to get out of my own head and start, just living my life out in the world and not caring so much about the judgment. Obviously, stand up is like, you have to care what people think about you, but what matters most is what you think about you. And if you believe in you and, there will be people that believe in you and there will be people that don't believe in you. There will be people that fuck with you and there will be people that don't. Whatever it is that you're doing in life, there will be people that are there for it and it's just not for them. And that's fine. But like when you come across the people that it's not for them or that don't believe or that, tell you that you could try, but you might fail and inject that kind of negativity, it's just, you gotta pivot and keep the central focus on that voice and that kind of lighthouse in your head that keeps you walking towards your dreams, brings you into port. Anyhow, so it really wasn't like an overt success. It was just enough of a small victory for me to get people to quiet down, really care about, because I was also, my first jokes, I think I said this, I don't know if I said it in the first episode or not, or in the second one, but if I said it to you, but my first jokes were about my grandfather dying and it potentially being my fault. And, which is not true, and then, and then my divorce, my wife leaving me, which is true. And, coming at it from a very like deep hole and definitely not a confident stance where it's like, I am fine. I was like, I don't know, trying to do something artistic and take something that had been super difficult for me in my life and make it funny and really like test my theory of the power of comedy. And if I could get these, not to speak disparagingly of anybody, but the people that were in the bar, if I could get these drunks in North Beach to turn around from the Warriors game and listen to my bullshit about my divorce and my grandfather and just like care, but also even land that first initial soft blow or that first test or jab of not only are they listening to my bullshit, but I'm able to turn it into some comedy. And even if it's not like uproarious laughter, I've taken this dark corner of my mind that I've been living in with death and divorce and all that, and I've been able to shine a comedic light on it and done that. I'm not trying to oversell anything too, but it was just like, I was like, if I can do this, then I can do it. And it definitely wasn't immediate gratification. None of it is. It's all just like a feeling, and you feel like you're on the right path and that you're working towards something. I'm not a huge Radiohead fan, but I love that song, Everything in Its Right Place. And I used to listen to it a lot before my first open mics. And it's funny now, like whenever I feel like I'm on the right path in my life, that song will kind of kick into my head, and I'll just feel that everything's in its right place. And that's kind of just a choice that you make as far as believing in yourself and believing that you're on the right path and not being afraid of what's happening. Even if it's negative, even if it's a setback, you're believing that everything is in its right place and happening the way it's supposed to for you. And not that everything is orchestrated for you in that way or centers around you, but I do think that like you find your own way and the things in your life aren't just happening to you, they're happening for you. And it's about how you respond and use them. And so that was just a big, not only proof of concept for me, but it's just saved my life in a very, very frank way of saying it. Like, these were things that really like fucked with my sense of self-worth as far as the events that happened in my life prior to going to the comedy club and starting this rebirth process. I was just like, I didn't feel like I was worth a damn. And so to find something that I felt like I was, and to also take those things that happened to me and not let them have like oppressive power over me, but rather enhance my abilities and give me strength over my situation or my environment, where now I wasn't going to sleep with my demons. I was fucking slaying them. And I don't know. So I'm getting way off topic here, but I'm just talking about how that experience like helped me. But
one thing that I wanted to bring, sorry.
No, if I can just finish on this, I don't want to talk about it as like an overt success or make it sound like I nailed it and I got it all right and I figured it all out. I'm just talking about like take stock of those moments in your life where you do the right thing for you, because there's so many times in your life, or at least in my life, where you'll dwell on the things that you have maybe done wrong, or feel that you have made a mistake, or missed an opportunity, or shortchanged yourself or someone else in your life, whatever it is. Like, we do a lot of dwelling. We're very good at picking up negative patterns and all that shit and kicking ourselves and not wanting to celebrate ourselves, because celebrity has become kind of a dirty word. Like with what we've seen, how people treat celebrity used to just mean someone that you celebrated, and now it's like it's fucking celebrities, and so people that, anyway, I don't know how I got into that, but like, celebrate yourself. And I'm not trying to make this sound like a perfect success story with comedy. I just want you to know that I felt a little bit of that relief when I followed my dream and did what I felt was right for me, and you might be able to find a similar peace in your life by pouring yourself into the thing that is right for you, and not what other people are trying to tell you should do or shouldn't do, or should be afraid of trying, or whatever, Anyway, you got a question?
Well, I just wanted to highlight something that I thought was maybe something that you may not have taken into account.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the fact that you put yourself in the right place and in the right space, and you were talking about it. You were letting people know what you want to do. And I think a lot of people are even afraid to voice what they want to do.
A lot of people don't know.
A lot of people don't know. People might be afraid.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I knew, but even if I had ended up being like a comedy, like a manager, or like if I ended up becoming a producer or a writer, or like a comedy club owner or some shit, like, even if it didn't end up where I thought it was going to end up with stand-up, I would have been immensely more happy just having taken the chance and the risk and the experiment with my life, and taking control of my own life and trying to put myself into that right environment, than if I had just stayed in that theoretical headspace and not taken the leap. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to just jump all over what you were saying there.
No, it's cool. It was just a quick highlight, but I like that.
Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to speak it into existence, and to put yourself in the shit. In the shit, if you will.
Oh my!
Don't be afraid to put
God.
yourself in the shit.
Well, we'll see you next time.
No, don't be afraid to put yourself into the shit. All right, you guys. You hate that I made that the bow to tie on it.
I thought we were done.
Nope, we're never done, dude.
And I waited till about halfway.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he's done.
No, I just had to get one more back in there. Oh man. So also, I do have to give credit to Brett Erickson, the guy that told me that it's not about writing for the stage. You do that, but your stage time informs your writing. Immediately after that first set, I went right across the street back home and back into my notebook, and I was like, it was literally like when you open a door and the room is all dark and you can't figure out where the fuck anything is, and you're like, I kind of know the bed's over there and the couches should be right there, but fuck, I hit the table. And if you just turn the light on, you're like, okay, that's how this goes, and there's that. Okay. And it was just like that for me, at least. Like, I had been thinking about the timing and like just all the mechanics of it, and just how to do the thing. It's like trying to swim. Like, you just get in the water and you start moving your arms around, and you're like, oh, I better kick my feet too. And you just figure it out as you go, kind of a thing. But it all takes taking that first step, or jumping into the water, or whatever, metaphor, analogy you want to use. But he was 100% right. I just needed to get out of my way and start doing it, to really start doing it. And then immediately I was able to go back into my room and be like, I can make this adjustment there. I can do this with that joke. Maybe this goes better at the front. And then it, like, almost automatically I was like thinking like a comedian. I had done the thing. And so now I could understand how to better do the thing. And I think I spent the whole next day writing a lot of what was going to be my act for the next like 6-8 months to a year. But man, just fucking do the thing. Just do it. Even if you don't end up where you think you're going to end up, I guarantee you're going to end up somewhere more interesting by expanding your horizons and taking a chance on yourself and seeing, like, I don't know, what you're made of.
Embrace the fear.
Embrace the fear. I've told you that I was like losing sleep about this podcast because I've been afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to try to turn that fear into love.
It's all love in here, man.
I know. But it's just doing the thing. Sometimes you got to like get it out of the way and let things take on a life of their own, but get out of your own way. Get it out of the way, get out of your own way, whatever the fuck, do it. Do it. Wow. What an episode. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends. Tell your people. Tell them that they can come be people with our people. And we could all be people of Earth together. Make sure you follow us online. We want to hear from the people, so send us an email, reach out to us, and stay tuned for more. We'll see you next time.
Good morning, people of the earth.
We interrupt our program at the request of the White House.
This is a test.
Some very strange events have been taking place recently.
The emergency broadcast system.
This is only a test.
Furnishing news, official information, and instruction as soon as possible.
Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point. The world is like a ride at an amusement park.
This is only a test.
This is just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love.
A small group of warriors have taken up the fight on your behalf.
It's been activated to keep you informed.
The earth is where we make our stand.
You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful.
People of the earth.
People of Earth.
People of earth.
If you are not,
People.
tune to a station furnishing information for your area.